Hello and welcome to the Godcast. I'm your host Alfred, and I hope you guys are well, and hopefully you've been taking care of your mental selves, your physical selves, and of course your essence. And today I'm really here to remind you yet still that knowledge is still king. Knowledge is the ultimate equalizer, basically, and that we, as if we really want to get to a higher or be the highest version of ourselves, to evolve into the God self, it's inevitable that we seek out relevant knowledge about the self, basically, and this will only come through reflection and kind of soul searching, introspection. And this is the one thing that a lot of people kind of avoid, because looking deep inside of us, it's kind of hard or to sometimes come to terms with some things that we find out about ourselves. But that's the path that we may have to take, or we have to take, if we want to see the best version of ourselves, if we want to evolve into the best version, the God version of us. And so embarking in this journey of knowledge, self-reflection and also really introspection is a must. So you have to be able to criticize your own thoughts and your own thought patterns. You have to be able to try and rectify your belief and your belief systems. When new knowledge comes, basically, you may have to change or acknowledge this new knowledge and probably adapt it into your new or yourself, so that you are able to cope and manage things better. Because hanging on to old and irrelevant knowledge or things that are of past does not help you. It only keeps you exactly where you were before, and it will be hard for you to evolve or go to the next stage of your life. And this basically is usually brought about our ego. Usually the ego is made out of two parts. We have the healthy ego and the unhealthy ego. And so you can see the ego in itself really is not a bad thing. It's that we usually choose to use it in an unhealthy way. And the thing is, if we choose the unhealthy part of the ego, we block our own path to being the supreme, or to go towards the supreme being, you see. And so it will be better off to have a much more healthy ego, so that we do not come on our own way or block our own way by using the unhealthy part of our ego, which only does what it thinks it should, but it usually goes against the person who is using this part of the ego. So make sure the ego, you are in best terms with your ego, because the ego may make you or break you depending on how exactly you use your ego. And like I said, the ego really there's nothing wrong with the ego. You can equate it to a doorway that takes you to a different path in your life, where once you go through that, then you're able to see a better version of you that you previously had not been able to see. And so this can only come about with the right sort of knowledge, you see. knowledge about the self, knowledge about who you are, who you were, and who you would like to be, so that you can now evolve into that individual, or that God self. And so it goes without saying that a much more healthier ego will bring you your desires. However, an unhealthy ego will really sway you or move you further from your desires. So keeping your ego in check and then befriending it and knowing how to work with your ego would be one of the best things that you've done if you want to properly use the knowledge that you acquire when you are evolving or creating or just working and developing into the best version of yourself. And one thing to note is this, that the outside world usually is a reflection of the inner world. Your outside world is a reflection of your inner self. Now, if there's nothing but chaos outside of you, and it's always chaotic, all you are doing is attracting chaotic situations or having chaotic friends and people who are just unrest and they don't settle your mind properly. You yourself, you're consistently being distressed. That is a sign that you might not be having a healthy ego, and you're getting further and further away from your own real version of yourself, your God self. And so recognizing that and not being in denial, not saying, man, it's everyone else's fault but yours. Properly admitting that you are part of that situation and saying, I have to do something about it, then you will get nearer to the answers that you seek. So the more you try and quieting this chaos, you see, the chaos is a place that we have to go through, but it should not dishearten you and totally sway you away from your goals or the supreme intelligence. You should be able to walk through this chaos or work through it so that you get closer and not further to the supreme being. And at times we have enough knowledge to really go towards our goals, to really evolve and develop into the best version of ourselves. But at times we kind of invite much more chaos than we need. We become much more chaotic than we need to, and so our inner self become too chaotic, and instead we're supposed to now reflect on this. You see, knowledge in itself is good, but without action, you just remain as someone with knowledge. That's it. And this eventually does kind of bring chaos, because you have to take that knowledge and put it out as action. It has to manifest somehow. And the more you do, the more you use that knowledge, because I believe that truth and knowledge comes from the supreme intelligence, from the supreme intelligent, and it's bestowed upon anyone who seeks it out. But then again, the power is in you to now use that knowledge, whether good or bad. I think that would be subjective, but that it has to manifest somehow. And so once you have accumulated this knowledge, it's now up to you how to make up your mind how you're going to use it. And the more you use it, the more power you get, and so the more closer you get to the supreme being. And that's how you evolve into the God self, the best version of yourself. But it's all about action, and these are twin brothers, knowledge and action towards by using that knowledge that you've acquired. one can really not go further without the other. Knowledge alone, you're just human, and it will be hard for you to move forward. And just doing action, you just be a headless chicken. Just action without knowledge, you're just nothing but a headless chicken. You're just moving all about doing nothing. So combining these two and making sure these two are in balance, then you get closer to the supreme being, and obviously you are now becoming the God version of yourself. And of course, in contrast to this, false knowledge or just lies, if you surround yourself with lies, if you surround yourself with false knowledge, you are going to shrink as a man. You're not going to be the best version of you. You're going to be the worst version of you, because a man has to embrace truth. You have to at least acknowledge it, even if you're not going to spread the truth, even if you're not going to talk about it, but acknowledge it, and then you know it, instead of denying it and putting yourself in sort of a bubble where you do not want truth to penetrate your essence, and then what you're going to have is delusions and illusions whereby you are surrounded by lies, and that's all. And eventually, once that bubble breaks, the pressure will be too much for you, and because you had not accepted truth, you had not accepted true knowledge, then what will happen is that you'll feel that you're not worthy of anything, and that's what lies do. They make you shrink. You become small, and you aren't able to do anything beyond what those lies tell you to do. And so, as you can see, that knowledge will always be king, and then knowledge of the self is the actual crown. So what we're doing is, in this life, is we're seeking out the crown, the self-knowledge, the God in us, the God self, the God version, whatever you call, whatever any religion may call it, the supreme being, Yahweh, Allah, whatever it is, it's just the same. We are seeking what is within, so that we can manifest it and then help or spread it out without. And I'm going to wrap it out here, but as being the first Sunday basically of February 2023, and apparently it's the month of love, so I have to go with that flow, and I'm not one to really advocate for such Valentine and all that. Every day is a month of love for me, but as we go with the flow, let's spread out the knowledge and make sure that you're self-aware, you have self-knowledge, and you seek out the truth that is within. And so until next time, this has been Alfred for the Godcast, and peace to the gods.